back in the day, I guess 4 or 5 years ago, my old personal trainer told me that life never gets easier. You just get better at dealing with it. So just keep that in the back of my head and go through every day.
That was your personal trainer?
Yeah.
Okay, so like you were lifting weights?
I was a bodybuilder, yeah. I was eating 5,200 calories of chicken, rice, broccoli, steak, eggs.
You've given up that life.
That was not easy.
You're not quite bulked anymore, I'd say.
What are you saying?
Well, I'm saying you're not really big. You don't look like you're eating 5,000 calories a day anymore.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
I've lost some muscle mass since then. So.
It's interesting that's his advice. I give similar advice in business. Like when you start a small business, you think being good at the work is what's going to be successful for you. But in fact, success in business is just surviving a never-ending series of small disasters, right? Like it doesn't get easier. You just get better at solving it.
Yeah, you learn from your mistakes, yeah.
Absolutely. So welcome to the show, where we explore the who, what, where, how, and why of the extraordinary people who define our north of normal metro. I'm Conrad Fargo, and this is the Fargo Five. Today we have Danny Frost, who's the owner at Top Notch Home and Yard Care. Hello, Danny.
Hey.
So tell us what it is that you do. What is Top Notch Home and Yard Care?
Yeah, well, it kind of started out as mowing, but it's kind of expanded from there. People just kept calling us back and word of mouth. And, we didn't do a whole lot of social media back then. So, yeah, it was definitely all word of mouth. But from mowing, we just started picking up stuff that we for sure knew how to do and, talked to the right people and got the right advice on this and that. And expanded into doing just about everything. Besides, I don't like to get on roofs anymore that are too steep, and I don't like big concrete jobs.
Okay.
And some of the more specialized stuff I leave to the professionals, but we do a lot of decks, a lot of landscaping, of course, mowing and snow removal contracts.
Yeah.
Patios, siding, whole up to about
a wide range of things. And,
yeah.
And you get around quite a bit. So you had said it's nice to see you again. I had not realized we met. I was, I'm bad at faces and names, which is great for my sales position. But you had come through our networking group. Do you go through networking groups a lot? I have my Friday one.
Yeah. Networking is huge, I guess,
Yeah.
and especially for contractors that I've heard, because no contractors really out there are networking.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
So I as soon as I started doing that, I have a few of them that I try to go to. Not too many, because like I said, I'm busy and I hate not showing up to them. That's even worse.
When you make a commitment, you want to follow through.
Right. So but that's been a huge part of growing and expanding.
Yeah, well, with the networking groups, I mean, absolutely. You normally got, I always joke, it's the five. If you get a realtor, a mortgage guy, a personal finance guy, a insurance guy, and a chiropractor in a room, they're going to just start a networking group.
Right.
Usually the people who work with their hands are very high in demand. They don't generally spend the time or the energy to network. So you're way ahead of the class in doing that. And then you were referred to be a guest on this show by previous guest of the show, Brandon Anderson Chase. He was actually the one who gave me your contact information.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I didn't know how I got referred here. But.
Yeah. Well, and interestingly enough, so he sent it over with a screenshot. Because I was like, I need people for the show. Because this show, I mean, I love it. It's a passion project of mine. And what happens is I go through a fit of scheduling people. And so then I get scheduled up for like 2 months. And then it's scheduled and I forget about it. And then it comes up to the end of the 2 months. And I go, no, I don't have anybody. So I reach out to everybody. I'm like, who should be on the show? Brandon Anderson Chase sent me your information. And he sent a screenshot. And it said Danny Frost at Top Notch Construction. That's how he's saved in your phone. So interestingly enough, so because you really do a wide range of things. It sounds like it started with lawn care stuff, which there's a handful of lawn care places. Even some previous guests of the show do some landscaping, but he knew you as a construction guy,
right?
And so I'm really curious to kind of get into it, like what your day-to-day life is like, where you're at with such a diverse company. Is it just you in the room with us, not on mic, but is a social media person that you have? Here's one person that you bring around. Do you have like a whole crew that you work with, or what is your current operation look like?
Well, that's where it gets kind of in the last 2 months, operations have changed up drastically. I'd say, we added like 50% to our workforce.
Yeah.
Well,
and what does that mean? 50%?
Well,
so like
just,
from 2 to 3, or
I guess 2 to, well, I guess more than, double to four full-time employees. Well, me including, because I like to be on the job site.
Yeah.
But not only that, but like, you were saying we do a wide variety of stuff, in construction. So that made me think, we just put up a 14 by 16 insulated shed.
Oh, wow.
From the ground up. I did do the concrete on that, but it was only 14 by 16. Oof. That's about the max I would do. I don't know if I'd do that again.
So I've built a house from the inside out. And I was living in it while I was doing it. And I did everything, plumbing, electric, everything. What I have not yet done is concrete.
Right.
And roofs. Those are the two. So is concrete, do you do a lot of concrete? It sounds like you don't care for it, but you'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do if it entails the whole project, or if it's something smaller that, just 8 foot wide or whatever. But besides that, like in the last month, we've been going up to Baiji, which I never thought I'd be going out of town. But we just, had a huge job through Christensen Companies here. Doing a huge apartment remodel, and we've been, I've been sending guys up there, and I got, a couple other subcontractors that I pay. I guess they're not really employees, but people on the workforce or whatever. So
if the price is right, and you got the network, you'll go out and make
and
it
it's
happen.
actually my girlfriend's dad, so it really it's helping out the family, I guess. So having jobs back here in Fargo, he was doing concrete, and I had a guy up in Bemidji doing that stuff up there, and I was coordinating with that, and then I was back here doing my own jobs with my other employee Tyler.
In addition to your subs, it's 4 full people, so that's like 160 hours a week. And it's week over week. You guys are booked.
Yeah, right now it's been a kind of I think this right now, I'm so anxious because it's in a time where it's snowing, obviously, right now.
Yeah. Hard to can't be pouring concrete.
Well, right, exactly. And you can't be doing landscaping or decks or, we did a 36 by 12 deck just in the nick of time at the end of the year this year after the 14 by 16 shed. And it's just, then that first snowstorm came and there was no other outside work to do. I mean, all gutters are frozen. If you didn't clean your gutters, those are frozen now, filled with water. All the leaves are in there.
And you don't, so you don't do snow removal? So a lot of the times the landscaping guys, then they turn around and do snow removal.
We do snow removal,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, commercial and residential. So.
But you don't have so much of that in the pipeline yet.
Yeah, well, we have 22 lots this year.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
But we also, like I say, we have more guys, and honestly, we went through the list, me and another guy, he's a really fast worker, but we did it in like 6 hours. But that was the first snowstorm, so it wasn't all that. I mean, we're geared up for it. We got a plow on the truck and a tractor with a snowblower and 2 snowblowers, all the work. So
diversified. But when you do bring on those people, and again, painting the picture of your day-to-day and what it's like, I think a lot of people say to themselves, I want to start a business. I want to do landscaping. I want to mow lawns or whatever. And, I want to grow and I want to get big. They look at you with maybe envy and they want to be just like you. And they don't understand that when you bring on employees, well, now you're kind of responsible for their well-being. You promised them. Mm-hmm. You said to them, hey, come on, I'll help you pay your bills. I'll charge $80 an hour and pay you $40 or whatever, but you can count on me. And then if you don't have that work, that's a lot of stress, isn't it? And so you've kind of moved into that phase, it sounds like, with the seasonality.
Yeah, it's thankfully they, understand. They're all from the field, so they get it, they get, snow removals here. There's not as much outside work, but we do remodels as well. So right now I have a house and 2 apartments that I'm working on remodeling. So, we haven't started them yet, but sending estimates out and getting approval for this and getting the plumber and the electrician there and the inspectors there to see this and that. And like I said, we've just been trying to do outside work, and now it's like switching over. So getting ready for those. I mean, it's just a time right now. There's not a lot to do, and that's why I'm so anxious. But yeah,
it'll come. Well, and you'd think you would be used to the rhythm of it. But how long have you had your shingle out? I think because probably most people start working for somebody else and then they decide to work for themselves, right? And they get the school of hard knocks. When did you go out on your own?
Well, that was about 3 years ago is when I started this. Yeah. Like I said,
did you jump in 2 feet or you were kind of part-time?
Yeah, we didn't. Well, it's kind of deep, but my brother was my partner. He left about a year and a half ago.
Sure.
So
yeah,
we're cool now, but it was hard for a while. But so anyway, I can't not mention him starting out. But
look, drama is part of every story. It's not a story without conflict. Conflict is what makes the story.
Right.
I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan at all.
No.
I don't. Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry. His big vision with Star Trek, like the first series, was supposed to be like the Cold War, and there was all this conflict with the Klingons. For the next generation, he wanted to do it with no conflict at all. He was going to say, we're not going to fight. If you watch the first 4 episodes, there was no conflict. And it's not good because you need in order for the story to be a story, you need a protagonist, you need the good guy, and you need something bad to happen. So every story will definitely have that conflict, and that's totally fine. But where I like to go from here is to think of where the idea of hanging out your shingle and being on your own, because you've been on your own 3 years.
Right.
But when did you first say to yourself, I want to be a business owner. I want to have 160 hours under my belt. I want to, when did you say that? What was the idea that got put in your head, and what did that look like?
Yeah, I think I was working at Valley Landscaping, and I just working my tail off, and I just wasn't making that much.
Yeah. So paint the picture. Who's Valley So, because I really don't know, and of course the listener wouldn't know. Valley Landscaping is a local place in town.
I would think that a lot of people in Fargo know who Valley Landscaping. They're one of the top in the Midwest.
Okay, they're one of the biggest Midwest, so they're a full regional operation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so how many coworkers did you have, or how many people were you working with?
Oh, there was 20 or 30.
20 or 30,
multiple
just in Fargo.
Crews.
20 or 30 crews.
No, 20 or 30 total people. Yeah,
just in Fargo
commercial
alone.
crew, residential crew, or whatever. But I just started thinking like, how am I going to make a life out of this if I'm working 7 to 7 and then sleeping, and waking up every day, and for someone else. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. So
they're ringing you out, paying you. And what made you feel? Where did the sense of I'm not getting paid enough come from, or why did you seem to think that you could make more on your own?
I can't be sitting here crapping on Valley Landscaping because I learned a lot from them. They're not I would recommend anybody to them. I don't want to sit here and have people think that I don't like them, but they're an awesome company. But and they pay enough, they do awesome, all that. But I just knew there was more to life, honestly, and I wanted to go find that. And when my brother, started thinking about doing the mowing, and he actually started it with another friend, but the other friend just never did anything. So I kind of stepped in and started it. And we actually, so Fargo has a citywide cleanup, every year. Me and my brother went out and got a bunch of mowers and snow blowers and fixed them up, and that's
from the cleanup.
Yep, we didn't have any, and we don't have any debt.
When was this?
Still.
When did you do that?
That was 3.5 years ago when we started. Yeah,
because you're like, I'm going to start a lawn mowing company.
Why would we spend money?
I need a bunch of lawnmowers.
Right, and we fixed them up, and we actually gave some of them to our friends now because they're buying houses because we had like 8 of them in our shop.
So you can fix up lawnmowers?
Yeah.
I'll bet you could fix up a snowblower.
Yeah, I know my way around an engine. I guess I do flat track, dirt track racing in the summer. So, building cars, taking them apart, all that. And then, of course, you got to, save money as a business owner. You got to work on your own stuff,
Well, but there's because I don't believe you. It's not like plumbing. Like plumbing and electric, I can do very well, but I don't have a license. So, I can't help anybody with that.
Right.
But small engine repair is beyond me. I don't think you need a license to do that, right?
No, and it's relatively easy. Most of the time, they just need to clean a carb out with some carb cleaner and put her back on, and it starts up.
That's what I've discovered. Yeah.
Well, and actually, no. Here's what I've learned. A little tip for push mowers is there's a safety switch when you pull the the throttle down on the handle to make it go, that cable stretches out over time. And there was 3 mowers that we picked up that all you do is you shim up that little thing near the engine and you pull it because the cable gets stretched and that safety disconnects and the mower starts right up.
You shorten the line so that it's not, because it's like a kill switch.
It's just a worn component that gets worn over time, and then
and you don't need to replace the component. No. You just pull it because now that it's stretched, you just kind of shorten the line.
I just bend it. Yeah. I mean, you should probably get the right one on there, but I mean,
hey, if it works,
that's right. It worked.
If it works,
look at me now.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever thought? And I don't know what your hourly minimum needs to look like to make everything work on your internals, but gosh, if you could just like go house to house, make house calls for people's, I'll bet you a lot of people today, it's blizzarding out, right? Mm-hmm. I'll bet you a lot of people are like, oh no, my snowblower doesn't work.
Right.
And now they got to go buy a new snowblower or, and this is the heck of it, like, if I want to bring it in, well, now I got to get it in the back of a truck. Mm-hmm. And I don't, my truck is somewhere else, and that's the whole thing. And then I got to drive it there. I got to drop it off. I got to pick it up. Because if it's so easy, it sounds like you could just fix most of them. I mean,
for myself, though, it's different when you're working on someone else's stuff and you can't quite take the hammer to it when you want to, And that's serious, too, because you need to take the hammer or the torch or, things start on fire. When bolts don't want to come out, you got to heat them up, and... I should probably have an induction heater, but a good old butane torch works just as well. And it kind of just goes back to the way I was, raised. Like we didn't have a lot, and that's not a bad thing. It's just we learned to work with what we were given, what we had. Don't go buy something, make it work with what you got. And most of the time we could. Like I remember this one time we had a riding lawnmower. We couldn't get the blades off because the bolt was so stripped on the bottom underneath the deck. So me and my brother picked up the front, leaned it on the garage, and then we were able to get like more torque on the blade or whatever. And that mower was like 400 pounds. Like it's not a light, thing.
Taking your life in your hands.
So like we could have easily gotten a jack, from a hardware store, but that was just when we were starting out. We didn't have money to spend.
Yeah,
we didn't want to go get a loan either. It was all and still today we don't have any loans. It's like why, Yeah. I mean, I'm learning why now.
And I can help you understand why, especially as you're expanding with payroll.
Right.
And I like cash flow is a problem. A lot of business. So I work with small businesses all the time. I do small business consulting, and a lot of small businesses die on that hill as they're expanding because employees, it's like I said before, you got to take care of them. They need to get paid now.
Right.
But you're invoicing at the end of the month and maybe getting paid another month later. Mm-hmm. So you made all this money, and you paid this much and charged this much. But you got to fill that gap in time. There's where a loan is super helpful.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the scrappy mentality, and I hate spending money myself, and upbringing does have a lot to do with that.
Right.
It's something that took me a long time to wrap my head around, almost the class consciousness that I've developed, because I'm my primary profession is as a realtor. I help people buy and sell homes. I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Premier Properties. Got to say the whole thing every time. And gosh, there is such a difference in mentality between those who grow up with plenty of money and 2 loving parents and a full family and the whole thing, and then those who have had it rough, had a difficult time, or otherwise have been forced to scrape by. And it really, I think it's great that you're doing everything you can to squeeze everything out of every moving part. And so Trash Week around here is a lot of fun. Have you ever scrapped? Have you ever gone scrapping on Trash Week?
No, that's not worth it. I'll leave that to the other guys.
Well, cousin and I went and we did. This was maybe 10 years ago. We went and pulled just the copper. So we were only scrapping copper. So anything, if it had a plug-in on it, we would chop it off and throw it in the back of the truck. And we drove around town.
Right.
After we liquidated everything, we made like $15 an hour, which was pretty good in 2015. And one of us was drinking beer the whole time. So, it's not often that I have opportunities to make that much. Oh, I didn't put my phone on silent.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh, no.
It's still live.
Well, I hope we don't get a whole bunch of calls and texts to me personally. But anyhow, so you guys are doing the scrappy thing, doing the hard work thing. You're grabbing up lawnmowers. You're planning. You're gearing up. Did you just jump into it? What's it like getting those first Because, and again, this is the thing with the landscaping companies. I got a lot of respect for landscaping companies. It's a lot of hard work. It's needed, especially in a commercial capacity. But I almost think of like my own experience with, I guess I tried to start a landscaping company when I was 12, because I would go door to door and be like, can I mow your lawn? Is this feel like that when you're first starting out, or where is a distinction between just going door to door saying, can I mow your lawn, and being like a landscaping company? Like, where's the line, and how's it feel there?
Yeah, so we started out in 2 apartment garages, and I feel like once we outgrew those, that's when it was like, all right,
this is real.
This is something else. Yeah, and I've heard 60 or 70% of businesses fail in the first 2 years, and if you make it through that, then you're probably something, that's you got it going or whatever.
Absolutely.
So I think when we got a shop from 2 apartment garages, and that's probably the moment I was like, all right,
this is real.
Yeah, and then I was like, we can't just sit around and not act on this. If we really got something going, let's see how far it can go.
But I want the very first job that you got. So you had these lawnmowers, and you're not working, or were you always working for people on the side?
I think we owe a lot of our early success to Personal Touch Property Management.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They just heard through the grapevine that we started out and we're doing good work, and they gave us a chance and kept calling us back. And I think a lot, that's where we...
funny. My cleaning company also started with Personal Touch. They
nice.
were one of the... We had a couple other companies that were bigger, but we did quite a bit with them, and they helped fill a gap for us. So, they're a great company.
Everyone there is just so awesome.
Yeah.
Can't thank those guys enough. And they do awesome stuff with tenants.
But they heard that you were starting out and doing a good job.
Right.
So what was before then, though?
That was mowing, and when we started with them, that's when it was like, all right, entryways need to be replaced, whatever comes with tenant maintenance, we did a lot of their mowing and some of their snow removal, and we've done so much for that. I can't even think back of what fences and just filling in holes in parking lots and taking down bushes by driveways, everything. I guess that was, they're bigger jobs. And then there was a few other real estate investors that are still clients today, who helped us, understood that we were, just starting out and maybe didn't know everything. Just with their relationship with the city of Fargo, we worked through, multiple jobs, and that really helped out, connections there. So I guess, that right out it was a really quick switch from, hey, we're just a mowing company to, hey, we're doing a lot more here, and then so it was like within a month or two. Well, we probably stayed in the apartment garages longer than we should have. We packed those things full. I mean, there was nothing else we could fit in there. Plus, as
far as lawnmowers, like you just kept coming across lawnmowers?
Well, then we'd store all of our wood in there, and we had all of our tools to fix stuff, and our jacks, and our, battery boxes, and, snow blowers. And then we had, buy an equipment trailer to haul around all this wood that we were building decks with. And, we actually had that trailer stolen from us. Ended up getting it back. The snow blowers were gone. And then we went to go pick up a tractor, our first tractor that we bought for snow removal. It was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It was a really bad winter. So we bought the tractor, and we went there to load up the tractor. And when we got our trailer back, we didn't check that the ramps were still there to submit to insurance. So we got to load up this new tractor, and we realized we had no ramps to load it on our tractor. Thankfully, the guy that was selling it to us had a trailer that was a tilt bed that we could load on and then back onto our trailer. Our trailer, it was so cold. It was -30 with wind chill that day,
Jeez.
right? When we backed it onto the end of our equipment trailer, the tongue of the trailer came off of the ball hitch up into the air. Luckily, when my brother was driving the tractor, we lowered the ball hitch back down, or the tongue back down onto the ball hitch.
While you were driving? No.
While he was driving the tractor, he had to reverse it back onto the trailer towards the front to drop the front of the trailer down onto the ball hitch. Me and the guy selling it to us were guiding the tongue of the trailer to the ball hitch. And we still have the truck that has the dent in the tailgate from that event today. Yeah.
So you're taking opportunities as they come, and you're not afraid of expanding. You're very hungry. You're very scrappy. The story I still don't have, and so this is where I want to really I want to. There's some gaps for me. So you're working for another landscaping company. You're like, I know I can do better. So trash day comes around. You start loading up on lawn mowers because you're going to start mowing lawns. Something, personal touch, and then it grows from there, and everybody knows you and you're networked. But what's the something? You've got these extra. You've got a handful of lawnmowers. You're still working for the other company. When did you start doing the work yourself for other people, not for the other company, but for other people? What was that before personal touch? Because in order for somebody to have heard of you, right, like you needed to be already doing something. What was those first somethings that you were even doing with those rebuilt lawnmowers? Like, where did that begin? Where did that start out?
Well, yeah, I guess personal touch isn't really working for yourself. I guess I would say it is, but yeah, there was those few people beforehand. Like I said, they were with the city of Fargo, connections there. That's
well, no, working for personal touch is still working for yourself. I mean, right. Who solicited who? Did you ask them, can I work for you?
No, they just called us.
They called you, right? So the very beginning of working for yourself, where it's not the landscaping company saying, show up here and do this, and right. I'm going to pay you as an employee, where you're just like, people are putting cash in your hand. You had to be soliciting. You had to be asking somebody, can I work for you? Right? You had to be going out. That never happened.
It was all word of mouth.
It was all
we never, like I said, we didn't have any social media. We didn't do any advertising at all. All word of mouth. And that's why we're so big today, I think.
But who was the first year? It has to start with your mouth. What I'm trying to say is, like, you need to tell somebody, hey, I'm out on my own. Who did you say that to where you started getting work? Like, how did they know you were out on your own? That's not clear to me. Has it been so long ago you don't remember?
I don't remember doing anything. Honestly, I really, it was all word of mouth. We didn't do, I remember throwing a couple business cards in the holiday gas station card reader, the gas pump card reader, but and
well, and how did you said through the grapevine that Personal Touch heard about you?
Yeah.
But what grapevine? From whom did they hear? Were you going? So you
Fargo
go to networking
City
events?
Inspectors, maybe. I don't really know. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know how we got so big. We just started growing exponentially. Great. People started calling us, say, "Yeah, we heard from this person. You do good work. Can you come do this?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, and so from there it just kept growing and kept
Huge.
growing.
Yes, and we were tripling year after year.
Yeah. With handiwork, and it was you and your brother. Now, you may or may not, if you don't want to get into the details, but it sounds like you guys had a little bit of a falling out. That happened relatively early on or later on? Or?
About, like I said, a year and a half ago now. So halfway. Well, year and a half, 2 years after we started.
And so at that time, you guys were both working full time. Did you have any employees at that time? Or
we tried employees, but it just never worked out with who we found, I guess, because we did a lot of different stuff. So it's hard for someone to know exactly everything that we do. Yeah. I guess me and my brother just knew all of it. Yeah. From the start. So, because I remember when I was 8 years old. I remember screwing all the tin onto my dad's house and framing walls, and was there when the concrete was being poured, and so that you just learn a lot at a young age for doing everything. So we just kind of started up and learned as we went for the most part.
But it was just you and your brother at that time, and then you split up. You guys are doing, this is your full-time gig by that, right? You're a year and a half. You're not doing anything else. This is all you guys are doing.
Well, no, not to put my brother on blast, but it was the only thing I was doing. And which is fine. It's what he wanted to do. So he's probably happy.
Then when you parted ways with the brother, though, I guess what I'm trying to say is you've got an ongoing business concern that can sustain a certain amount of volume.
Right.
You guys were, maybe he was working part-time. He had 60 hours of work, maybe. Brother leaves. And so now all of a sudden it's just you doing those 60 hours of work?
I remember when he left around that time, I was building this deck, which also needed a chain link fence built at it, and I was putting in 70 hours. I got home and I didn't even feel like showering. I'd lay on the ground. I was just so out of it. But it's if I wouldn't have done that, would I still be here today? Would have went under? We had 4 years left on our shop, lease. So it's $2,000 a month that I'm liable for. If I don't keep going, then what do I do there? And I guess luckily enough, we had quite a following that everything worked out and keeps growing. So
yeah, and so then from there, now today you've got 3 other employees,
right?
And those are employees, so you're keeping them busy.
Plus
full-time.
My assistant, and I got a cousin that I hire for part time in the winter or whatever. And,
And so when was it the first? So because you said that it was always difficult to get employees to sit in the chair and because we do such a wide variety. How did you crack that nut? How did you make it more sustainable?
That was such a hard hurdle to pass. And I feel like that is a thing that a lot of small businesses struggle with. But I guess I just started thinking to myself, like, if you don't go find them, who's gonna for you? If I fail, it's on me. So I
100%.
contacted NDSU and got in contact with their construction management classes and basically asked, hey, you got any guys looking for a job? And I got a group of 5 or 6 guys, and one of them had never done anything construction related. There was another one who didn't seem all that interested in working full time and this and that. And then one guy named Tyler, he's a rock star. He started with me. So that was, I just started, well, actually I was at Menards, and the building materials guy told me to call up in Grand Forks up north, I think, right?
Is that an old gentleman with
Steve.
a goatee? Yeah, Steve. And the gray hair.
Dude, I love him. He always gives us pencils.
To Steve. He's the best.
Steve's seriously. Steve at Menards in Fargo is the best employee Menards has. 100%. But anyway, he told me to call up there, and I was like, well, what the heck is some guy in Grand Forks going to want to work in Fargo for? So I called NDSU and kind of got in that way. So that was, getting Tyler, that, he's eventually going to leave, which I can't pay his tuition payments or whatever every month, So
that's
he's
always the problem.
Yeah.
And I describe it when I do my business consulting for people, because there's a spectrum, right? Like real estate, I'm always looking for work. There's too many workers, there's too many realtors, and there's not enough work, right? But on the other hand, I ran a cleaning company for 10 years, and that was a similar boat where you can get the work. It's workers. They're next to impossible to find.
Yep.
And then when you get a good one on your payroll, well, they're too good for you.
Right.
After time, they move up and move on.
Yeah,
and
you just got to find people that are grateful to be there. Like Tyler, he's gonna go tell some company like, hey, I've done all this stuff, and they're gonna be like, oh man, and you went to 4 years of college? Like, geez, okay, they're gonna look, so he's grateful to be there every day.
Absolutely.
And I got a few other guys, Derek and Jesse, they're just grateful to be there every day. They know how to do everything. One of them is a ASE certified mechanic, so having him around is perfect for working on work stuff or work trucks and all that. And so, and he's just great. He used to be in the auto mechanic shop next to my shop, but they unfortunately shut down, and I told him, yep, you can wheel your tool cart right over to my shop if you want.
Make it easy for you.
And we were good friends before that. I'd always go at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, they'd always still be wrenching around, which I love working until 5, 6, 7 p.m. So those are the only other guys that were around, so I'd go bull crap with them at the end of the day, and got to know him really well, and especially Derek. Yeah, so we've been good friends for a while, and it was no question. I was like, yeah, you can bring your stuff over here, because he's have a huge shop to bring his stuff. So yeah, he's just grateful to be there and have all the work and this and that. And we're actually planning on, I don't even know if I should say this, but we're planning on opening an automotive shop.
Whoa!
Yeah, in the future. So. We're in the works of it already.
That's extra challenging though, because these days the cars, you almost need like a whole separate computer just for the maker, right?
Yeah, we're doing 16 and under. We're not going anything over 2016, because that stuff. You're right. Just the diagnostic tool is $10,000 from Snap-on, and
that's what I heard.
So it's just crazy. But yeah, so there's and there's enough work to go around. Just like with contracting, I'm not out here to, I'd love to meet other contractors and share, this and that, because there's no battle between there's so much work out there.
Yeah, plenty of work on that spectrum of it, and it matters on the industry.
And that kind of, helps. Well, in North Dakota, you don't need you don't need to take an exam to get a contractor's license.
Yep.
In Minnesota, you do.
Oh.
And in North Dakota, that you really got to watch out who you're hiring because you don't need that exam.
Yeah.
But with all the work out there, it's almost like if you can't find work, it's for a good reason that you're not getting called back.
Yeah.
And so it kind of weeds those companies out,
Absolutely.
So I'd say, all the work kind of makes the good companies, stand out in a way, I guess. So
100%, 100%. And so, like you said, you're not thirsty for work, and yet you come on the radio show, and yet you do the networking. We're almost, would you believe it? It's already 47 after. I told you, it goes very quick.
Jeez, yeah.
It goes fast.
Yeah.
But what is it that made you decide you wanted to do networking? Where did that idea come from? What made you go in that direction?
Yeah, I guess my cousin Lee Rogenkamp.
Lee's your cousin.
Yeah.
Now
Lee.
it's, of course I know. I'm a realtor.
Everybody knows Lee,
I'm a realtor.
I guess.
That man owes me lunch.
Yeah, he probably does.
I ducked him out last week, though, so that's on me.
Yeah,
I had a stressful week. But anyway, you're Lee's cousin.
Yeah, so he's got a networking group every Thursday.
Sure,
that's just awesome. And
Yeah.
then he's actually got another one Wednesday that's more of a being a better father, dad, and man, I guess, or whatever. But the networking group, his networking group Thursday is kind of, he's like, yeah, why don't you come by? And I didn't really know the good of it. And then I started going there a few times, and, you work on your public speaking, and you get asked the right questions, and talk to, get to know all the people there, insurance guys, bankers, house cleaners, so many different people that you'd never normally meet, and it, to make it there every week after week is something in itself,
Yes,
so
it's a filtering mechanism, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Those people,
I love
I'm
networking.
I always try to, I use them all, I guess. I try to, and I do, because it's, all of them, are, insurance and chiropractors and, all that, and cleaners. I try to give them all work, and it all reciprocates, and
it
so,
does.
it's just, you never, I guess why I keep going, I'm so busy. I tell people all the time I can hardly handle any other work, but it's like, the moment you think you're like, oh, I'm good, that's the moment everything stops.
Yeah.
You always got to be like, oh, I need more. I need more. I got right. Yeah. Even if you're just at max capacity, just dig a hole and just go to town,
I've got the same, I have the same mentality. I'm not sure that we're right, but I operate on the same way. You do have to also find those limits, and you got to set boundaries. I've been working on that the last few years, but, I totally agree. When did you, but part of setting those boundaries and keeping yourself away from your limits is getting help. And, I can understand you've got a business where you're a laborer in that business and you work with your hands. You hire more people to work with their hands. And that's a natural, I think everybody can understand that. Hiring an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
When did that happen? How did that happen? And we've got like 3 minutes, but I'm just, I myself, I do too many things, and I've said to myself, gosh, it'd be great to use help.
Mm-hmm.
But, while the extra laborers you hire, gosh, they make money by working. You charge for the work that they do. Your assistant's just coming right off the top.
Right.
What was the mind to grab something like that, and what was that process like for you?
Well, I just knew that social media was huge. You look at any successful corporation or this or that, they're always throwing stuff on social media, just dumb stuff, and just being present out there. I was like, all right, I got to be present out there. So I through networking is how I met Alicia. She worked with someone else. Someone else was, in the networking meeting you can ask, hey, I'm looking for this. And so I explained that. And one guy was like, oh, I know this girl named Alicia. She sounds like she'd be a good fit. And so I called her up, and it's been great ever since. So, yeah, that's kind of how just out with the networking, knowing people. So
The song that you chose, the song I would choose for you is Fearless by Pink Floyd. You ever heard that song?
I have, yeah.
That's you climb the hill in your own way, right? Fearlessly, the idiot faces the crowd. I listen to that song myself, too, because I also climb the hill in my own way, right? I think we all do, right? But instead, you wanted the Dire Straits song, Money for Nothing.
Yep.
Tell me about that musical choice.
The intro on the guitar is just way too good. I mean, I've been trying to learn how to play guitar recently. I don't do a whole lot, I'm busy a lot. So I race cars in the summer, and in the winter there's not a lot of stuff outside to do. So I've been trying to learn how to play guitar, and I just want to learn how to just rip the electric guitar.
You just want to go
straight. That'd be so awesome.
That's what we're going to get out of here with.
Nice.
So, no, thank you so much for coming on. The last thing to do, not that you need the extra business, but if somebody wanted you to hire them, or they wanted to hire you,
right.
In any case, they want to get a hold of you, go ahead, plug yourself. Tell us who you are. Just do your little 30-second.
Yeah, Danny Frost with Top Notch Home and Yard Care. We do a little bit of everything. Decks, patios, landscaping over the winter. We got snow removal contracts, remodeling. You can give me a call, 320-808-3356. Worst I can say is no.
All right. And, of course, I'm Conrad Fargo. You can find me anywhere you type in Conrad and Fargo. Danny Frost, I know you're very busy, but have you ever been on this one website, Amazon.com? You ever heard of them?
Yeah.
If you go there and you type in Conrad Fargo, do you know what happens?
No.
This very show is right there. It's right there. So you can like, share, and subscribe. Listen to it on Amazon Music. Of course, we're on the Spotifys. We're on the YouTubes. Anywhere that you can listen to podcasts, we're there. And if you want to see us, if you want to see our faces, you can see it on YouTube. So please go like, share, and subscribe. Again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We are going to rip that guitar solo right out the gate. In fact, I have it teed up to 1 minute and 36 seconds so that we just start right with that. So we're going to do that, and we'll get out of here.
It's that long into the song?
It really is. Yeah, and I was like,
smokes.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't want to wait a minute
Right,
36.
that's
I wanted
good.
because I can only get like 3 seconds of the sound before YouTube is like, you're trying to make money off of the, and it's not even monetized. But anyway, they'll mute the whole thing. So we're going to grab that and get out of here. So see you next week.